really diving into the economic data and specifically data on consumer behavior. And so here's one interesting thing. There's one stat that keeps getting reported. 7 out of 10 consumers today say that the number one way that they want to find out about new products is social media.
Wow.
But specifically, they want to find it out through people that they know, like, and trust. Actual users of the products, right? Not influencers. Big brands are not paying influencers anymore. They're looking for microfluencers, which are actual customers and real people that have used a product and experienced it. And so this is the way. It's actually, they have a term for it. And I would strongly recommend anybody that's watching this today, when we're done, go Google user-generated content. UGC, user-generated content, is the biggest buzzword in social media marketing today. User-generated content is what we're talking about. It's content promoting a product, not from the business that's selling it, but the actual user. Right. This is how people want to find out about new products today. Now, this should perfectly align itself with our profession, because yes, I get it. We are selling and we do have a business, but we also are product users. And so this should be like a grand slam home run for us. So first off, to give someone advice, you should never talk about your products and content, is somebody that is operating from an old, outdated playbook. They're either trying to sell you something that is promoting with their agenda. So they have a financial agenda why they're telling you to do that, because they're going to sell you a digital marketing course on funnels or attract something, right? Or they're just out of touch with what's actually happening today. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. And so, because if you're not talking about your products, then you're not leveraging the most important concept in content today, which is what we're talking about. But here's where we get it wrong as a profession. This is a really good analogy. So I want you to imagine you're watching Instagram stories of a friend of yours, and she's posting about how this experience she had at a restaurant that just opened up in your hometown. And she's got pictures of the food. She's leaving and she's, this was the best experience ever. Look, if you're looking to go out and have a great meal, you have to go to this restaurant, right? And so you see that. Now, if you and your husband or wife are wanting to go out to dinner next week and you don't already have a reservation, I would argue there is a very good chance you will book a reservation at that restaurant, for the main reason that it was recommended to you by a friend. Now, I do this all the time. There'll be restaurants that open up in our area, and I'll always go to Yelp and I'll read the reviews or Google reviews, and there'll be good reviews, but I'm like, I don't know these people. Or,
right.
Is the business buying reviews? Like, I don't know how to put stock in that. But if somebody I know tells me it's good, I'm going to go there, right? So this is user-generated content. Here's where we get it wrong as a profession. Same analogy, same scenario. Best restaurant ever, you got to go there, except at the very end, there's one extra post. And by the way, here's my booking link. Make sure when you book at the restaurant, you click my link and go through my account so I can get paid when you eat there. Now, I promise you, the majority of the viewers that are watching this, now, if you know that person really, really well, right, you would say, okay, she's going to get paid, whatever, it's still going to be good. But most people will immediately discount that recommendation because, no wonder you want me to go there. So what just happened was you're no longer a user in the viewer's eyes. You're a salesperson. Right. And so this is where we go wrong. Now, what the thing is the people that tell you don't post about your products, they don't think they're giving you bad advice, because what they see is every time you post about your products, you're always trying to sell in the content. I argue there's a way to talk about your products and share the products without actually trying to sell them, which is actually one of the most important things you can do today. And so that's why we give the number one piece of advice that we give people is this: you share the products and content, you sell them in conversations. Stop selling in your content. Stop asking people to buy. Stop including links every single time you talk about them, because you are turning people away from you.
So true. So true. And it's amazing how effective it can be. Once you build up that know, like, trust, which you talked about, you build up that personal brand. And guess what? you can recommend things that you don't make money on. Bob, you just said it, right? You recommend restaurants, not because you have an agenda, not because you get paid, but because you genuinely loved your experience. The food was great. The service was great, whatever that is. And this is part of becoming an influencer, right? And we're not saying an influencer, you got to have hundreds of thousands of followers and then you're an influencer. Literally, you could have a following of 50 people and have influence over those 50 people because you're sharing things you're using, you're telling stories. And I know a lot of your workshop is going to cover this. And it really is amazing how, and you mentioned this, how someone can post something and get crazy engagement. It's like with their kids or the date night they just had. But then those same people don't comment on their reels or don't ask them about their products. But I was having a conversation with a leader earlier today, and she was just blown away by the fact that she never did this in the beginning. And just recently, she started doing exactly what you're talking about, proactively reaching out to these followers, these likes, these comments, these leads. And she was blown away by how some of these people were totally interested, but they never asked. They never raised their hand. And when I look at a lot of my top sellers, when I look at a lot of the people that are very consistent in bringing in new customers, they're consistently making a lot of money selling product, they do such a great job of talking about the products in a fun way. They have a passion for it. They've built up stories, not just their own story, but sharing other people's stories and talking about the benefits. And these are the things that I think back in the day would be considered spammy, or it'd be like, oh, you're an infomercial for your company. But if you do it the right way, not only is it effective, it's duplicatable. And I think this,
for everybody that's watching this, here's what I want you to realize. This is really important. Right now, today, is if you started your business in 2010 or later, right now today is the single greatest opportunity you have had in your lifetime to position your business for long-term success. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you are going to have access to a level of person that because of what's happening in the economy today, all the uncertainty, is going to be open to something non-traditional like what we do that we haven't seen since the last recession that we were in 2008 and 2009. And so here's what I know is the foundation of long-term success: good people, committed people. And so here's what's interesting. I'll share just a couple of stats that I think, because for me to just tell you, you should be more proactive, you should be sharing your business, because a lot of you are not even sharing your business anymore, which to me is the greatest tragedy, because people have left and you've lost confidence and you said, I must have did something wrong. And you're like, I don't know what to say today to get people. You're not even talking about your business. And so like, here's the truth of the matter. If you ever have had a reason to, it's now. And so here's what's interesting about this recession. There is a term being tossed around. They're calling this a rich session. So here's what they mean by that. In a typical recession, the bottom 20% of the households are the ones that are hit the hardest, the lowest income households. Over the last 3 years, what the data shows is that the lowest 20% of households, their net worth has increased by 43%. Now, that's because of all the government stimulus, unemployment stuff. It costs the average American household $700 more a month to live the same life today that they did 3 years ago. And so we are, there is going to be like, the what hasn't hit the fan yet for us as an economy in the US. But here's what's interesting. The group of people that have been hit the hardest are the top 20% of households. Their net worth has decreased by 10% in the last year. And there was an article written in LinkedIn, the majority of the jobs being eliminated are six-figure plus salaries. The tech sector has been decimated with job losses, but it's not just tech. Every company, you pick any company, any industry, they're cutting jobs by the tens of thousands. And so what does that mean for us? Well, what it means is it's the perfect storm of opportunity, because you've got these people that are successful, influential leaders. They're established in their careers. They are afraid and they don't know what's happening. And guess what? If you learn how to talk to them the right way, but I was taught this early, that language is one of the currencies of your business. If you learn how to elevate the language that you use when you're talking to someone about what you do, and you learn how to really paint the big picture vision for the opportunity that exists in this profession beyond where you are and your results, that's the way you build a big business, right? And so like you have to learn how to fundamentally talk to people differently today if you're going to take advantage of this. Now, I know what comes up. Somebody says, well, Bob, I'm not successful. I don't make the big money. It doesn't matter, because you want to know what? Good quality prospects will never discount an opportunity because you haven't been successful.
Mm-hmm.
They don't base their decision on your results or lack of results. If you share something with them that they take the time to look at and they think it's a good opportunity, they could care less how much money you're making, right? They're just going to say, okay, why don't you get me in touch with somebody that is making money and I'll go start working. But guess what? They're in your downline.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got to get over ourselves and we got to get over our lack of success. And we have to realize that there's an opportunity today that most people have never seen before in their business. But here's the thing. I say all that to say this. These people are not going to come to you. They're not scrolling Facebook looking for side gigs and side hustles. They don't want to be an influencer. They don't give a you know what about that stuff. They haven't been building a following and creating content, but they are some of the strongest prospects that you will ever see in your business. The argument that if you're all in on content, but you're not really being proactive about reaching out every day, you are wasting your time. Yeah. Because what content does is it nurtures your audience and community. Every time you create a piece of content, it's making a relational deposit in the account of everybody that sees the content. Now, here's what's interesting about content. If you look at the analytics really closely, so there's different types of engagement on social. There's the visible ones, which are likes and comments. But then there's the ones that are not quite as visible. There's impressions and reach. So when you look at reach is how many people actually saw the post. Impressions is how many times the post was actually watched. And so why this is important is because what it's an indication of is this, that the impact that you make through your content transcends so much larger than just the interaction on the post. And so I first discovered this when I first started going live. I would remember that I would go out and I'd be in a social situation and I would see people that I hadn't seen in a while. And I remember the first time it happened to me, I had a guy that I knew and he said, hey man, I just wanted to tell you, your videos have been so helpful. And so this came as a surprise to me because I'm like, I had no idea he was watching my videos.
Yeah. Never comment, never likes. Yeah.
Never comment, never like. And I'm like, oh, and then it would happen again and again. And then making me realize is I'm like, wait a minute, like I'm missing the boat here. Like I remember I would judge the success of a post by if it just got likes or comments. And what I wasn't taking into consideration was the bigger picture of the value that I was putting into the marketplace and into my community and my network. And so what we do is we urge our clients, start conversations. You will be amazed at when you start doing this, not just people that have interacted, but just starting conversations with people every day, right? And so we teach this to our clients and they are absolutely amazed at when they start doing that. Like I had 2 clients of ours in one day completely separately share this experience with me. They sent a message just to open a conversation up. And the response back, unprompted, was basically, I need you to help me. Tell me about what you do. Like, unprompted. And they were both like, I didn't even know they were watching my videos. And so, like, to me, that's it. Most people are not going to reach out to you. Yeah. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that if we're leaning into content, you got to lean into selling. I say it's a 50-50 split at worst. And so that might mean post less and actually start more conversations.